Hello, Mr. Thomas. Welcome back, everybody, to Horse Racing Today, Foreign Friday version with yours truly and our good friend over there. It's on the right of my screen, but he's to the left of me in real life. That's 22-1. Thomas, how has your Royal Ascot week been for you?
I made a few donations, but I've enjoyed and had a few seconds that have paid well for that placings.
Yeah, we had one horse together, both you and I think it was like 66-1 that just about won, finished second.
Yeah.
I was pulling for that one, but what are you going to do? One thing I noticed is that I put this out yesterday in a tweet. It's Ireland, horse after horse after horse. So just kind of, I guess, just basically handicap the Irish horses. If there's some Irish in the breeding, go for it, baby. And then don't worry too much about the odds. I think that's pretty much played out.
In a lot of cases, I don't worry about the odds at Ascot. Witness some of these races, the first 2-year-old race, 80-1 shot won, and 40-1 ran second, and 50-1 shot ran third. That's about as formful as what?
The lottery?
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Well, we have some of these small fields. There are the way they break off is really makes a difference of how they can run.
Yeah, I seen this morning one horse was running all by itself off there to the right. It didn't really perform well, but it was pretty interesting to watch. And a lot of them, they're breaking up in threes. You got them on the inside, the outside, and then a group in the middle. But today it looked like they just pretty much broke off in two, and then they all tried to come down towards the rail, it looked like, at the end.
Yeah, for the most part, I would say agree that. I mean, it looks like they've done well, from a little bit better from the far side, but the near side's won too. So the bias this week has not been there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's because of they say good to firm. Well, I go with firm because they have the only water that track's getting is whatever the track specialist wants to put down.
And whatever the horses are leaving behind.
Yeah, it dries out very quickly. So those last races are very firm ground.
Running on concrete. All right, well, let's get cracking for the final day at the Royal Ascot. Starting off with race number 1, the Chesham Stakes. Thomas, they're going to run 7 furlongs. 7 furlongs are going to start here. We've seen 1,000 of these things. They're going to run down the hill, then up the hill, then down the hill, just a straight line. They're going to do like the Red Sea in parts, and then they're going to kind of go back and forth, some drafting. And then one group is going to have a little bit more draft than the other and find their ways to the winner's circle or enclosure. Pardon me. I'm going to make sure I get the proper nomenclature. But pretty much that's how you see it going.
Yeah, I would be very surprised if we see anything different than that. When you have these size of fields, the jockey does walk the course with the trainers and all that, and they try to figure out the best path. But sometimes the breaks don't fall that way. And today we've seen them coming from all over, so we have to look at it that way.
Yeah, and it doesn't look to me like the horses that are up to the front are really staying up there at the end of the race, though. A few have kind of hung in there. Yeah. All right, well, let's get rolling. Race number 1 tomorrow. Chesham Stakes. You got a bunch of first-time starters, a bunch of horses with their second start. So
yeah, the Chesham
out of a hat
is a listed race, and it's for 2-year-olds only. And we got first-time starters, and it's at 7 furlongs. Can you possibly pick a tougher race to start the day? I did go with the one who may be the favorite, but we'll see. Number 1, Ace of Gold, has draw 12. First start was speed up and speed at it was an interesting race because it sort of dawdled a bit initially, then sped up at the end and went clear, and no problem. I like the comment on it was exciting prospect. So I thought that was an interesting comment. 7 furlongs should not be any issue for this horse, and with that team, they generally they got a good one. They're going to get it across the line. Number 15, Expensive Rose, coming down my next choice. So dropped 9. She's raced twice. She ran second in her first start. She was green. She dwelt at the start. It was a mess. Second start, she won. Ran close up on the lead at 2 furlongs, and she went by them. Not too much trouble. And right now, 16-1. That's not terrible.
Mm-mm.
Finally, I'm going to take one of the first-time starters. That's Harvey. Withdraw 7, number 6. Trainer must think a lot of this horse because he only had one other 2-year-old starter, and that went off at 150-1 at a minor track and ran last. So now they're booking one of the best jockeys in France. At that price, it's going to be an interesting choice. But they must think he's got something, because why would you book the top? You put anybody on a horse, just let it run, right? But you're dropping him into a listed race at 7. They must think this is the right distance.
So they must think so. And with these 2-year-olds, as you mentioned, 7 furlongs, anything could happen. And I think in that realm,
I think long price stuff, go look at it because it's so wide open.
And well, speaking of anything can happen, I don't know how we ended up on the same exact, but I have Age of Gold on top 2. Really strong breeding in this guy, rallied aggressively after a slow start. And I think the additional distance today benefits the one horse. And then I also have Expensive Rose. I don't know how that happened. It's another
look at my picks and he's right.
Yeah, that's what it was. But it's got good breeding. Last time out was the 3-5 favorite. An easy win, as you mentioned, coming off the green debut. We're going to differ now. I'm going to go to Bedtime Story. I think at this meet, based upon what we're seeing from Ryan Moore, it'd be foolish to move away from him on any of the races. He's got a good shot to win them all. Going to be your favorite after an impressive win for Aidan O'Brien. And Ryan Moore didn't ride him last time, so put him on in this time. And then finally, the 18-horse Miss El Fundy. I like that name. It ran green in her debut, bred to be on grass after starting off on the all-weather. Let's see if indeed the breeding and the race experience shines through in race number 2. We'll find out what the predictor thinks. We didn't have the benefit of the predictor for the entire week. And it looks like bang, Age of Gold, Bedtime Story, the 14-horse in there. Hot like me. There's Harvey, that first-time starter that you mentioned. He gets a pretty good play in there. Expensive Rose. So surprisingly, a lot of our picks are in there, despite the number of horses in the field and the lack of.
Goes out and picks.
That's pretty amazing. I'm pretty impressed.
A little bizarre. Yeah, I would agree.
Race 2. Off to the next race we go. That one is the Hardwicke Stakes. This one is 1 mile and 4 furlongs. Or as we call it around here, 1.5 miles. 1 mile and 4 furlongs. They're going to come here, run downhill, level out, steady rise, and even more rise, and then a little bit of a downhill and leveling out to the finish line. Tom, in these long races, I'm not seeing horses stay on the front till the end. Are you?
No, there's nothing been staying on the front. With the exception of the really long race of 2 miles and 4 furlongs, which was Trawler Man, ended up running second to Kyprios.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only one I've seen so far, but that even is more ridiculous because of the length. So it's hard to judge on these 1.5 mile things. Usually they say the insides has an advantage. That has not been the case this week. We've seen winners coming from all over. So I would continue to think that's going to be the trend.
Yeah, well, there's one day left.
Took number 8, Middle Earth, is my top choice. Draw 8. Won last 2 starts on Good to Firm. One was an listed race, and the other one was a Group 3. He's run well. The distance suits. The only thing is he is a slow starter. So if you see him in the back of the field, don't be surprised. Number 9, Missed the Cut, is going to be my next choice from Draw 3. This is John Sadler's runner, who originally actually won at Royal Ascot in 2022. So he sat middle of midfield and stormed home. He's definitely in form. Keeneland race was an interesting one because he finished second between two Charlie Appleby horses. And we know he can train pretty well. And so that's pretty good company to match up with. So we know he can win at Ascot. And the distance suits, and he's been running longer distance, and John Sadler generally knows what he's doing. So I think we can safely say he's got a good chance. Finally, I'm going to leave what I think will be the favorite off the ticket. I can't leave him off, and that is Continuous with draw 7. He's number 2. Comes off a layoff after finishing 5th in the Arc, and the Arc was not one of your better performances by this horse. Got one run at Ascot, finished second to King of Steel. That's a very good horse. But in that race, he pulled clear of the rest of them. Now he does fine coming off layoffs, but he's not going to win because I think he does going to need a race. I think this is a pretty tough field to be able to come off the layoff. So I'm going to put him for 3rd.
Not going to win. So good thing I put him on top. Yeah. Well, the thing is, when he does win, he tends to smash the competition. So if he is ready to run today, and the one time he did pair up with Middle Earth, he handled them pretty easily. So maybe he can do that again, maybe not. Goliath is a long shot for me that I'm going to take a crack at, Mr. Tom, the 6 horse in here. Very capable horse at 1.5 miles, 6 times out, 4 wins and a second. The interesting thing about this horse is never ran on a good to firm surface. So he could absolutely love it, in which case would improve his performance. He might absolutely hate it. But I'm hoping that the distance and a new love for a new footing will pay off for Goliath. Desert Hero is my next choice, the 4 horse. I really contemplated putting this guy on top. Going to be better in the 3rd start after a layoff. That's what the resume says, and does have a win at the Ascot course. And then I went with Middle Earth as the last one. Is unbeaten in the pair, both at the distance, both by just a nose. But I feel like today he's going to come short by a little bit more than a nose, but probably is your winner since Tom says my horse has no chance to win. Let's see if the predictor agrees with either one of us. Pow, Elegant Man. Huh. Neither one of us have. There's Middle Earth. My horse didn't even show up, Tom. Oh, well, maybe you're right. He's not going to win today or tomorrow, depending upon.
I hope tomorrow, but because they already ran the races at Royal Ascot today.
Yeah, they did. All right, let's go off to the next race for Saturday for tomorrow. That's what we're actually doing here. The Queen Elizabeth II Jubilee Stakes. This time they're going to run 6 furlongs. These are the parting of the seas races where the horses all start off and then they break apart and they come back together again at the end. I noticed at the end of the day, they're all kind of tilting down towards the camera at the end of the race. So maybe the track on the upside there, the farther away, is being torn up from too many people there. I don't know, but that's what I saw. I didn't see speed hold on even in the short races, Thomas. So I don't know that that's going to change tomorrow. What about you?
I would be surprised.
All right. Well, surprise it's for them.
Put in a heck of a performance if you're going to break out on top. And with that, I'm going to take number 5, Millstream, as my top choice to draw 8. Won last time at York in a Group 2. He just got it up by a head. It was his first win since August of 2023. Both his starts have been good this year, he's always running in top company, and I'm going to put him on top. Next one is going to be Kinross, number 4, draw 13. He ran some nice races last season. He's returns well. He's won a Group 1. Distance is not an issue. He's won coming off a layoff before. I just can't pass him. If he's ready, he's going to be tough.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, number 8, Hartosh is going to be my final choice, and that's draw 2. He was sold at the end of 2023 for £150,000. Archie Rudson took over, and in the 2 runs that he's run, he hasn't lost. He's run the heavy and the good going. So, and both these races were at 7 furlongs. He's a Group 2 winner at the Curragh as a 2-year-old. So he's technically moving up in class in the last 2 races, but he has won at this level, and he's won at a top level before. So I think based on his form right now, I think he's got serious consideration, and that's why I'm putting him on for 3rd.
I'm going to go with a horse, maybe for the course, maybe a horse for the race. Kadim, if I read through the past performances correctly, he is the defending champion.
Yep.
And his
big price last year.
That was his only win in 2023. In fact, it was the only win in his last 10 races or so.
Yeah.
So maybe he's just a horse for the course in this specific race. I agree with you. You can't lay off Kinross. He's run well at Ascot too, Thomas. First up record for me is the concern. I would have really have liked to see this horse have a tune-up race before today. I'd have been very confident to put it on the top if it did. Number 13, Swing Along at 16-1. Tom, I think this is your ideal horse, one that I've started to include in the back end of my picks. Is it going to win? Probably not. I don't think so. But if you just look at its performances, the horse is always dancing around the trifecta and the superfecta and the exacta. So, yeah. And the money?
She's very good at doing that.
And the money at a big price, I'm hoping.
Yeah. And you get to get a little bit of weight allowance, too.
And then finally, the Wizard of I is my final choice. Again, who can deny Ryan Morris having a solid Ascot meet? And this horse is coming off of an Ascot win. So, he can handle the course. Let's see how our friends at the Predictor handle this race. Looks like it's going to be at the wire, Art Power. Neither one of us have the one horse there, Art Power. Millstream, there's Tom's horse. Did you take Art Power?
Yeah. No, I did not. Art Power won the big race last year in the Champions Day. So he's definitely a horse on the course, too. But he hasn't run so well lately, so I couldn't really. And he also is a front runner.
I'm kind of sad I don't see not one of my horses in this picks anywhere. Not one. Me and the Predictor, we have a love-hate relationship. I love when it picks what I pick, and I hate it when it doesn't know what it's doing. Race 4 is what we're going to do next. Back to 7 furlongs. This one's named after the Jersey Shore, Tom. The Jersey Stakes. Again, they'll just run straight down that straightaway. They'll break off into their parts. We've mentioned that the front runners aren't really doing that well. So look for horses that are mid-pack and back with a late kick. Does your top pick for this race, Tom, fit that description?
Kind of. Going with number 2, Boiling Point. Draw 17.
Draw number. What in the hell just happened there? All right, Boiling Point.
Yeah.
Sorry about a little bit of a technical glitch from the producer, folks.
Yeah, well, you hit the wrong button. Yeah, last 3 races were at 7 furlongs. Last one out was at Newmarket, and they won them by 3/4 of a length. It was a listed race and went off as the favorite. Ran second twice, too. All these races have been on the good or good to firm going, so the track's not going to be an issue. At least the going won't be. It's consistent, and I think that 21 is very attractive for a horse that's definitely in form. Number 17, Task Force, is going to be my next choice. A draw, number 8. The first start of the season was an interesting choice. It was 2,000 guineas. And it was definitely, he's run 4 races in his career, and he finished 7th in this one, and that was his worst run ever. But look at that race. We have the Epsom Derby winner. We have the Irish 2000 Guineas winner. We have the St. James's Palace, which was run on Monday's winner. There are a bunch of horses coming out of that race that are pretty good. So I think that race may not been in that race may not be such a bad place to start him for this edition. So he's going to run. I'm going to run him for second. Mine choices. And finally, I'm going to take number 12. Never So Brave with draw 11. Runs either second or first in his last 4 races, and last 2 were wins at this distance today. I guess he is moving up from maiden and handicap levels. Definitely a move up, but he's had success, and I think you're the punters have got him at 11-1. I thought he'd be a little higher than that, but you can see there's been a slight drift in his pricing.
Mm-hmm.
I would be surprised if it goes off at 11-1. I'm thinking a little more, but we'll see.
I'm going to go with the one horse. Hot Team.
Well, I got one more pick because of the size of the field.
All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I forgot one. Number 1, the team.
And there you
go. Draw 15. He's running Group 1s and Group 2s. He's won at a mile at a Group 3. He's a good horse, no question. And he's running against good horses. So, favorite? Possibly. 7 furlongs? Yeah, probably. But I still think he may want a little more distance, so I don't think he'll hold up the 7. I think he's good for this, getting in the money.
Well, hopefully, I think he's good for getting in the money at the top of the ticket. And a few horses in here, if you go through the past performances, have that black, bold type behind him, meaning Hot Team has beat them before. Last time out, the horse finished second by a head. That horse that he lost to, Tom, by a head, ran earlier this week in the St. James Stakes. And what did it do?
He won.
He won.
And he won the Irish Derby prior to that. Irish 2,000 guineas prior to that. So
losing to a quality horse.
Yeah, definitely.
Somehow you and I ended up on the same horse in here, Not So Brave as our second horse, probably thinking a lot alike in this one. Yeah, it's stepping up in class, but you look at its bylines there, and none of them are bad. So if he can handle the class and he can run similar races, I think he can hit. And if the price does drift up, both Tom and I will be happy if he's at the top of the ticket. River Tiber, I think it's kind of hard not to put this one in there, Thomas. I put him in third because he's run 3 races in a row at third place. So I'm going to put him in third to make it 4. And then finally, number 7, Indian Run at 50-1. Thomas, I'm stealing it from you. Does have a grade 3 win, so we know he can handle class. Does have an Ascot win, the only time it ran at Ascot. So let's see if he can double it up. At 50-1, I'd be most pleased if that one came home the winner. Come on, predictor. Put my guy in there as the winner. Bang. Hot Team. Ooh, but this one looks like it's going to be pretty close in there. Hey, look, there is my Indian Run right there at 50-1. Just a nose away. I'll take that. It'll be a pretty good handicapping experience if that's the case. Never So Brave, the other horse that you and I have in common there. So it looks like perhaps the predictor is starting to get its act together, Tom.
Possibly, but, of course, they're running the wrong way.
That could be a problem, too.
Predictor. So keep that in mind.
Yes. Maybe this is how they're going to finish at the back of the pack. Think about that.
Well, we'll see.
So we'll go off now to the next race, which is race number 5. The Wokingham Stakes, 6 furlongs, just again, another one of those dashes down the straightaway. I wish we had some of those races here, Tom, in the States where they just ran straight and it was uphill, downhill, undulating, and all sorts of different things. And
I'd be happy to see one on a flat course, not even necessarily with the undulations, because it would be just as interesting to see how they would run these races in a bit with a decent, even with a 14-horse field. Would they split? Wide enough course, that whole kind of thing. And it's kind of surprising that we only see quarter horses run this way, not the thoroughbreds.
I'd like to see 150 wide running 6 furlongs down a stretch somewhere. That'd be a lot of fun. All right. Well, we've talked about horses coming off the pace to get W's. Thomas, we're closing in on the very last few races at this year's Royal Ascot with 3 to go. Who's your top pick here?
Start with number 5, Harry 3 with draw 23. Before his last race, he hadn't run since 2022. And he ran 4th by 3 3/4 lengths. That's pretty good for a horse that's been off so long. He was asked, he didn't have enough, but he finished evenly. Ryan Moore's got the return to the saddle, and he rode him last time. He has won this horse in the past. So all he needs is, if he's ready, I think he'll put in a top effort. And so far, the bettors seem to agree with me. Number 9, Unequal Love, is going to be my next choice with draw 1, which not a great draw. He drops from Group 2 Company, where he ran 5th by 2.5 lengths. He's won a listed race at Newmarket in his first start, and yeah, the draw sucks. Well, it'd be nice about it, but I'm going to put in the money. I don't see it better than that. 18, Chipstead is my next choice. Draw 21. Last run was a pretty good run. He lost by 4 lengths, but he had to switch over with a furlong to go to be able. So he lost some lengths in that, making that switch, making that move, and that may indicate he's ready for a better effort. He won his last race in the all-weather. It was a handicap, and he's done okay. He made some progress. He's winning. He needs a winning effort. We'll see here. Good trip. Maybe earn some money. And I will take another one because it's a huge field. Number 7, St. Lawrence, with draw 17. He's going to drop out of a Group 3 race, which was his first start of the season. And he's raced in 2 Class 2 handicaps in the past, and they were okay, but they weren't great runs on paper. But in one race, he was with the wrong group. We've seen that before. Actually, they were slow. Since needs a little pace in front of him, there wasn't much of any in the group he was running, and the racing was going on the other side of the track. That's something to consider. I think in one other race, his positioning was just, he was not really tucked in. He was taking a lot of the that front end type of thing, and that usually can hamper horses who like to tuck in. And I think this is one that does. I did really think this one just needs a good trip, and maybe finally you'll get one.
Strangely, we both ended up on the same horse on top, Harry 3. I just kind of found it to be odd that after a year and a half sidelined, now you get Ryan Moore on the horse, the second up, after being off that long. But you look back, he does have some back class before he headed to the sidelines. And I got a feeling maybe in some of the training and preparation today, some of that spark came back, and Ryan Moore got a phone call, and he says, you know what? I'm going to ride this guy. As you mentioned, Tom, odds kind of drifting down a little bit. Number 27, Glenn Finnan.
Keep going.
Yeah, yes. Glenn Finnan. There we go. All the way down here. This is a Tom horse, 40 to 1. Horse only has 3 wins in its career, Thomas. 2 of them came at Ascot when the horse got good footing. Guess what it's going to get tomorrow? A race at Ascot on good footing.
A heavy, soaking wet track.
Yes, there's going to be a deluge of rain overnight. Number 10 is my third choice in here. Dark Trooper at 7 to 1. Lucky number 7 to 1. It's another one that's done fairly well at the Ascot track. Impressive win in its first up, last out. And I think you're going to see an even better effort. I feel like 7 to 1. I almost put this one on top. It was close call. And then finally, number 20, Ferris, the fourth choice for me. Tom only makes 4 choices now, and then I'm always making 4 choices, unless there's only 6.
Oh, this is a huge field.
Yeah, so maybe I should get a
29 horses qualifies for making 4 choices.
Yeah, I don't think Sean will be mad, but Ferris, anyway, this one had 2 really dominating wins after coming off the sidelines, and then you expect a little bit of a regression race in the third one. It's exactly what happened. I think we see a bounce back to the dominant form tomorrow or Saturday, depending upon tomorrow or today, depending upon when you're watching. Let's see what happens with the predictor for this race. Is the predictor becoming my, I don't know what the hell happened there. There we go. Didn't need to watch the race because we already know the outcome. Warrior Brave at 66 to 1, Thomas. And then Glenn Finnan right there. But of course, they're running backwards, as you mentioned. So this must be who's finishing last. 2 races to go to close out this week. And looks like this one here, we're going to have to refresh this screen. This page is having a problem, as am I ordinarily. There we go. This one is the Golden Gates. They decided to name it after they closed the track over there. the Golden Gate Stakes. This one's 1 mile and 2 furlongs, or as we call it here in the U.S., 1 mile and a quarter. So 1 mile and a quarter, they're going to start here. Get to that turn a little bit quickly. Tom, does that early turn give perhaps the front runners a little bit more chance than we've seen in some of the other races?
Hasn't yet.
Agreed. So why would it happen? Why would that change tomorrow? All right, 2 races to go, Tom. Let's see if we can go home with a late daily double. Start off with your top pick.
Okay, we're going to number 5. Carta. Draw 5. The running his races at 7 furlongs. All of his races at 7 furlongs. Last one was a listed race on the turf, and it was on the good to soft going, and he ran nice third. So he's had good success at the Dundalk, which is the only all-weather track in Ireland, and he won both those starts. So why pick him? Well, breeding screams distance, and we're not talking short distances. 7 furlongs is short distance, relatively speaking, and he's doing well. So I'm going to put him on top, especially at that price. Number 11, Dam Buster with draw 11 is going to be my next choice. Won his 2 starts as a maiden and novice level, and he failed badly at a Group 3 level. He's won at this distance as the favorite. So he's going to, is he a slight class rise? Maybe from where he won. But in this kind of a field, I think his record at levels that these other horses have run have been pretty good. So I think he's got a good chance. 16, Portsmouth with draw 3, is going to be my next one. In 2024, he's got to really run well. He got a win and 2 seconds. And he's been the favorite couple of those races. And he's been moving from those lower levels. Class 4, class then a 5 race, then a 2. He likes the going. He wants good. And this handicap seems to be right up his alley. And that's why I put him in there.
Are you done?
Well, I can give you another one.
16 is the break-off point.
Yeah, well, I can give you another one if you'd like. Number 10, Approval, I think's got a nice chance. That was my 4th choice. Draw 6. He's running 3 novice races. He won one of them. He's second in 2 of them on the all-weather. He's run on the good to firm going. He likes that. Yeah, it's a huge class rise. But look at the price.
8 to 1. Yeah. And 3 tips.
Yeah. Look at that.
Make it 4 tips, because that one's the one that's at the top of my ticket. I like when I see a horse that just kind of runs middling races and all of a sudden explodes and dominates like he did last time out. I call that the lights came on type horse. So he finally figured out what it is he's supposed to do. Number 8. I mean, how do you bet against a horse with this name, Tom? Hand of God. How do you bet against that one? And it's also probably going to be, I think on paper, the one to beat. Number 13, Old Faithful. This guy in the money, 6 out of 7 races. The lone miss was on a heavy track. He's got 2 W's in a row, looking for our good friend Terry's, one of his favorite handicapping angles, the hat trick. And both of those were on good footing. And then another one we agree on too, Tom, number 4, Portsmouth. Not run a bad race in, I think it's been 3 races since they took that horse off to all weather and moved him to turf. So I'm expecting a 4th good race today or tomorrow or whenever you're watching.
Yeah. One of
on
those.
Saturday.
It's either going to be today or tomorrow, but it won't be Sunday.
Arabic Legend. We don't have that one. Here, Hand of God is in there, and then everything else we don't have. So maybe it's just going to be the Hand of God that comes down on that race as your championess. All right. Last race for the 2024 Royal Ascot, Tom, is the Queen Alexandra Stakes. I got to find where we are here and put that on there. Race number 7. This time around, they're going to run forever because they don't really want to close the track down. They're going to run 2 miles and 5.5 furlongs. So I'm just going to chalk that up as a long way is how we would call that here in the States, Thomas. There's no way they're going to run fast early. They're going to run slow early, and then all of the hustling will come at the end. Where are they going to start this bad boy here?
Way back in the mile chute.
Right here.
Nope. Yeah, right there.
Mm-hmm. Don't forget that 159 yards. That's really the difference maker right critical, there. Yeah. So they're going to make that run, come up, down, and around, and then come back home again. So there'll be some tired horses in there at the end. Fitness, I think, is going to be the key to who wins this race, Tom. I think you'd probably agree with that. So in your view, who is the most fit?
Number 2, Dawn Rising, is going to win this race. So draw 7. He's run 2 races this season in Ireland. They were against a horse that he didn't have a chance against, and that's Cyprios, who won the Gold Cup. That's a pretty good horse. So this is definitely a bit of a down race, but likes running long distances, and won't get a short price. You get it, won't, 72 is a good price. Let's face it, it's not 1 to 9, but you get Buick and you get a long race, and let's see how he does. Number 6, Run for Oscar, is going to be my next choice. We'll draw 11. He didn't run well in a listed race at a distance, and but the distance, I think, when you look at it, is too short, because his best running is over 2 miles. He's got 4 runs, 2 wins, and 2/3. Where would you be running this horse? In 1.25 miles?
Nah.
No, it doesn't make sense.
I'd be running him long.
Yeah, and that's what I think. That's why I'm going to put him in the money. Number 7, Tash Kaon, is going to be my final choice. Got 12. First start of the season, he tends to run in the money from layoffs. So that's what I think he's going to do. And that's where I put him in.
All right. Well, the last few picks for this week, I'm going to start with the horse right next to that one, Uxmal. Uxmal has some robust breeding, came off the sidelines for the first up and absolutely crushed it. Let's see if he can add to the crushing in the second startup. Number 13, Queenstown, my second choice in here. No bad races in 6, but this horse absolutely loves to finish second. 1 win, 4 seconds, and a 3rd in those 6 races. So a professional wallpaper hanger on that one. Dawn Rising, the 2 horse. Tom, I think that's where you started.
I did.
Yes, indeed. Strong breeding. The last time this horse came off the sidelines like today, it fired itself right in to the winner's enclosure. Probably a good shot to do that. And then I agree with you on this one too. Tashkon, the 7 horse. This is another one, Tom. It's funny that you had the horse, and pretty much what you described it is how I described it. Another Tom horse, probably doesn't win, but doesn't run very many bad races either. So I would expect to see a good one in there where the horse does finish.
Listen, I wouldn't mind owning a horse like that. Pays those bills. It's better than 1 win out of 10 starts, and then the rest of them are all you're still running on the racetrack.
Well, it depends on how much the purse was in that 1 win, right?
That's true, but
it's if claiming 5.
Depends on the level of the horse too. If it's a $5,000 claimer, that's one thing. But if it's a $100,000 claimer, that's slightly different.
A little bit different. So last Foreign Friday, I had just a senior moment. I went to a restaurant, and then I left my debit card there, and I had to get back before they closed the next day. So any idea what we're going to do next Foreign Friday, Thomas, in the event I don't leave my personal stuff places?
The Curragh.
There you go. Some Irish horses. As I mentioned at the top of the show, when you're doing your handicapping, just go back and look at the final finish and see how many of them have Ireland next to their name. And you'll see that almost all of them are coming. So I don't know what it is that they did over there in Ireland to get prepped for the Royal Ascot in 2024, but whatever they did, it absolutely 1,000%
probably Ballydoyle and Coolmore and a few of those operations probably have something to do with it.
Yeah, probably gave it the good food before this one started. So the Curragh next week, I will be back on Monday and Tuesday, as always, with Terry for Parks. I mean, that's almost Royal Ascot stuff.
Oh,
Wednesday. Wednesday we'll do
main claimers for 10K.
Yes, and even they're difficult to predict who would.
Oh, they're almost as bad as the 30 field 2-year-old races.
Just same challenge, just a different
different
payoff.
level.
Indeed. And then as always, Wednesday will be Churchill. Thursday probably Belmont at Aqueduct until the Saratoga and Del Mar stuff gets started. Make sure you follow us on all of our social sites down there if you haven't done so yet. On X, used to be formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I don't know if you know this, Tom, but we're in the Facebook doghouse right now because apparently we posted something sexually explicit by putting up my commentary for Measured Time on Belmont Day as my top pick of the day. And I don't know what was sexually explicit about that, but hey, whatever it is.
Whatever it was rather revealing, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess picking a 3 I don't know how that horse.
And you were right too. So
yeah, I don't know how that horse went off at 3-1. I'd imagine
that was a price unbelievable because that horse, he raced wide. I mean, Appleby and Buick had a terrible week overall at Saratoga that week, but that one just cruised. I mean, it didn't even look like it was, it was out there for a Sunday stroll. I mean, it was just, it won with ease, and the price really cannot complain.
No, I don't know how that one, you'll see that one, I think, barring some sort of mishap in November, unquestionably, and the Breeders' Cup.
Let's see what happens with it runs at Saratoga again.
Mm-hmm.
If it can pull off another one like that, then I'd say yes. But I think they've got a couple other runners who are probably a little better.
Well, we'll see when that time comes. Of course, we'll be here for that. And if you subscribe for what we do, you won't miss it. And don't miss free picks over at Guaranteed Tip Sheet. There's a link down in the description tonight. Sitting around and you want to play some Charlestown $2,500 claimers, this is your chance, Tom.
Yes, it is. It's the right place to go for $2,500 claimers.
Yeah, so make sure you take a look at that. All right, folks, that wraps it up for this Foreign Friday. We certainly hope that you had a fun and prosperous Royal Ascot in 2024. When a little bit later on, I'll post the information. You'll find it there later on tonight, a recap of our show, a recap of our notes as we've done all week over at horseracingtoday.net. While you're there, especially if you hit that $256 double exacta that we had on Wednesday, I think it was Wednesday, go over and get yourself some Horse Racing Today gear, 25% off everything today. You'll look great at the track. Great way to support the show to make sure we're around to do the Royal Ascot in 2025. Any final parting thoughts from you, Tom? Before
they will not buy enough stuff for us to go there. So that would have to be on our own dime.
Hey, folks, make a liar out of Tom today. Just like we hope we make a liar out of the many of the predictors picks. All right, folks, no matter what you're doing for the rest of this weekend, I know tomorrow you'll be playing some Royal Ascot picks. Till then, we certainly hope that you have God's grace, God's favor, and everything ends up in the
winner's enclosure.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us. Make it a fantastic weekend.